1700. First segment, we touched on global gifting with John Cresci, and now transitioning a little Chad Little, Movember Foundation. How are you, my man?
I'm excellent. Thanks for having me in, you guys.
You're rocking that mustache. Don't look at the camera. Don't look at the camera. You'll be fine. So I kind of wanted to get to your story. I know everybody has to have a story when they get involved in a company like this, a foundation like this. So I kind of wanted to know your why behind why you got involved in Movember Foundation.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it kind of transitioned into Movember. My dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2006. And I happened to enjoy this thing called craft beer. And I was at a beer festival, and I walk up on this booth, and it says Pints for Prostates. And I'm like, Pints for Prostates? Okay, I want to know
Count
about
me in.
Yeah, what do I need to do, right? So I talking to them, it was started by a gentleman who's a prostate cancer survivor. And he was a craft beer blogger. And he said, this is what we do. We're about awareness. I said, how do I get involved? And he said, hey, we're as grassroots as it gets, bud. But give me your information and let's see what we can do. So I started that when I was living in Nevada at the time, but then I came back to San Diego. And we go out to beer festivals and we make sure that, well, we know we're going to find men or people that know them, obviously. Mm-hmm. And we're making sure it's that we call it reaching men through the universal language of beer. And so the idea is that we can engage them in a conversation to talk about men's health, because we'll talk more about this in November, but there's a lot of just stigma around men talking about it. They need to be aware that 1 in 7 men are going to get prostate cancer. And so that's our mission. And through that, I became much more aware of Movember. And I said, oh, I got to rock a Mo. I got to do this too. So this is my 6th year, I believe, being a Mo bro, as they call it. And Movember is great because not only do they focus on awareness, they do a number of different other things, and it's kind of expanded each year. So it's more than prostate cancer. It's testicular cancer, which is in younger men generally. It's in men's mental health, as well as this year adding the idea of move, and that is getting active, being active more. So those things were very appealing to me. And they have a great website that it makes it really easy for you to help share and get people to donate. So the idea is you have people sponsor your your mustache, and raise some money.
You mentioned 1 out of 7 men would get prostate cancer. Has that number gone up or down in the last 10 years?
I don't know that it's really done anything. It used a couple years ago it was 1 in 6, so it just kind of varies. I think what you need to look at is they're just, as men, as we get older, our prostates are going to get bigger. All those things happen. So generally it can be for men that are older. But what we're talking about is just having the awareness, because like any other sort of disease, very survivable with early detection. So that's why with Pints for Prostates, we're out there making sure you're aware. Movember's doing the same thing, because for men, it's in testicular cancer. That's younger men. So they want to get to that message for younger men. So it's about the awareness, because again, how often do you talk about your health with your buddies?
Yeah, no, we were talking about that in terms of like what guys actually talk about. And one of the things here was state of men's health is in a crisis, and simply put, men are dying too young, kind of like what you were getting at. So I was thinking, it says men die 6 years earlier than women, which probably because of the women, but that's besides the point.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious if this has without having to change our topic here,
Sure.
But the first thing that came to mind is like insurance. I wonder if a lot of this has to do with this back and forth with government, people getting insured, and how expensive it is.
And like men thinking like, I can't go to get checked out,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Or just not want to pay for it because it's going to be expensive and they're not insured.
Well, there's a few things with prostate cancer, right? I mean, there's one, just men can be macho, and we don't talk about it, and we just tough up. And we don't talk about something that's bothering us. And that's beyond prostate cancer. That's why they talk about mental health, too. And that there's just way too many men that take their own lives every year. And that's why they're trying to get out to talk to someone, find a bro, have a friend, talk so you can have that interaction. But for prostate cancer, some people are just scared of what it means. Some of the tests are not the most fun. Let's just say it, right? I mean,
you agree, Anthony?
Yeah. I think you said it.
Yeah.
I should whip you right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you think that's funny over there? Oh, okay, all right.
But we talk about PSA, so that's a specific protein in the blood. And so we talk about getting a PSA test, so that's something like any other marker you would have in your body, like cholesterol. You're watching that every year so that you can talk to your doctor and have an informed discussion about what that may or may not mean. So that's part of the message that we send out. There's been some controversy around PSA testing, but a lot of the individuals in the community will just say there's nothing wrong with getting a test of just a simple blood test, so you have a marker to pay attention to.
Yeah, I think a lot of us will base how we feel and how healthy we are based on how we look. Like I'll look in the mirror and go, oh, I'm fine, I'm healthy.
Right.
But do I really know what's going on inside? No, because I don't go to the doctor.
We need to check your mirror, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you're tripping. Take
I like this guy. I like this
full
guy.
screen pictures. Full screen pictures. No cropping
We
pictures.
talked about taking great, nice pictures of me. Now
Yeah, they will not be zoomed in anymore.
Gotcha. So that's one thing a lot of people don't know. They're scared of. We made a joke about it, but the digital rectal exam is one of those things that happens for me. Once you get about age over 40, you go in for physical. It's something that the doctor's going to do to check your prostate.
He even talks fast when he talks about that part.
Yeah,
of
you
it.
want to get past that
He's like,
part
let's
real
hurry up
quick.
and get rid of it.
Did I look uncomfortable? So,
You perked up a little bit, but it's okay.
but that's something that's going to happen, and it's just one of those things that if you're not paying attention to your body, you're not doing those sorts of things, then prostate cancer can be very asymptomatic. And so it's not like you're going to have just a sign one day that says, oh, you might want to check you have prostate cancer. If you're having symptoms, which could be...
Yeah, what are symptoms?
I mean, there's a number of things. It could be, trouble urinating. It could be a number of different things. It could be pain. All those sorts of things could be. But generally, if you're getting those sort of symptoms, that's probably further along than an early detection. And so that's why we're talking about you need to be keeping yourself informed about your body. It's not different. It's not any different than... a woman and breast cancer, right? Doing the mammograms, those sorts of things are all good for preventative. We say that.
Well, why is it? I mean, in general, society-wise, why is it okay for them to get checked out and all that kind of stuff, but guys will make jokes with each other and like make fun of each other?
I think it just goes back to what we were talking about just before the show, that whole machismo thing, and the testing behind it. I can tell you from experience myself, it can be a cultural thing, right? I mentioned the same thing before the show. My grandfather passed away of prostate cancer. Tall, tough dude, very militant type of guy. And, come to find out that he was ill for a lot longer than we thought. And as soon as the family found out, he passes away 2 months later. And it's one of those things where either one, I think the machismo part of it comes into play.
Sure.
Two, they don't want to know.
Yeah.
The fear of the possibility that I do. And I think that's just with any type of disease or illness that someone might have. I guarantee you that's the fear of the fear behind it, of course.
I think guys in general, it's just probably heightened. I know, like John, my dad. Like I was gonna say, like my dad is stereotypical. I'm sure my mom's fear is that that's what's gonna happen to him. He'll just ignore things for a certain period of time, and it'll be too late, kind of thing. So that's great stuff. Some must-dos that were on the Movember website that I thought were cool. Checking in regularly with friends and family. Which I think is something that guys don't do, and if they do, it's probably maybe it's over a beer, but I think that's probably less often. Just picking up the phone and calling your bro, and not just your only bro. I'll call you. Come here.
We'll test each other, bud.
Yeah, call me. Number 2 on this list was move. You mentioned that move is something new with Movember. We're getting active. And making it more of a lifestyle thing.
Yeah, there's just all sorts of things that inactivity is just not good for your health. I mean, that's the one area that I need to work on in terms of if I look at what I do in Movember. I know very well about prostate cancer. I know all this information, but boy, I need to get out and be more active. And so it's little things like getting a tracker or something to help to where, I pledged I was going to move 30 days. I haven't moved 30 days.
What does that mean?
Well, that's one of the things you can do. So, I always talk about what do I do for Movember? People are like, well, you can grow a mustache. Well, the most sisters are like, well, what do I do?
And explain that. What is Mo Sisters?
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Mo Bros are the guys that grow mustaches. All guys, we have a Mo Sista. That's someone that supports a guy that is growing a mustache, or now with Move, they can make a pledge to move 30 days. Maybe move 30 days with your Mo Bro. And the idea is you get out there and you do something for 30 days. I haven't done the 30 days like I pledged, but I have moved more this month than I have in the last few months. So that's all a step in the right direction, right? And that is, again, just about keep having a healthier lifestyle. There's all sorts of benefits, more than just what it could prevent, but also just when it relates to the other items like stress, all those sorts of things that are going to help yourself with getting out there.
Are you seeing people, I think either way it's a benefit, but are you seeing more people kind of doing it more as a fad thing, like just as a cool, trendy thing, especially right now since facial hair, everyone's rocking the beards, the long beards, or the crazy mustaches of sort. Do you see people kind of getting involved that way, or is that also feeding? You guys look for that because it is also actually feeding Movember in itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a number of different efforts that are out there, and I think it's interesting. I hear some people say, "Oh, it's no shave Movember, right on. I'm not going to shave," and you're like, okay, that's whatever you want to do, but I want you to know about the other part of the message. Right. The reason why I shave on November 1 and grow this mustache, which if you have a picture, I think I'm auditioning for the for an after-school special. Maybe the main.
In what year?
Yeah, the after-school special, and I think my character is Stranger Danger.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
So the idea is, I want them to know the message behind it. So I'm not going to beat someone over the brow because they decide to grow a beard versus a mustache. That's not me. But I want them to know what it is about, so they can engage in a conversation. That's the whole idea. That you've changed the looks. They're like, what is that on your lip? Oh, it's a mustache, and here's what I'm doing, and here's what it is. So I can engage in a conversation with my buddies who I may not already engage in a conversation with, things we talk about. So that's the whole idea. Conversation starters that we can have with our buddies about our health.
Good stuff.
Makes sense.
And in that next one on the list talks about talk about the big stuff in life. I think that guys in general will just talk about little stuff and
scores of games, all those real deep conversations that we have, right?
Hot chicks, all that kind of stuff, but nothing like in depth. So, I mean, I guess you've talked about how that can change there. Knowledge is power is here. Importance of the understanding of your family history. So Oscar touched on it a little bit. Understanding your family dynamic and what you need to be looking for. How early? I mean, what's early? What's too early?
The numbers are. I mean, there's everywhere,
Sure.
right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having an awareness. You can do that at any point. But when we talk about family history, so hereditary, right? My dad was diagnosed in 2006, and we say that the numbers are 1 in every 7 men are going to be diagnosed with prostate cancer at some point in their lifetime. Well, that number goes down to more like 1 in 5, maybe 1 in 4 if you have family history in the bloodline, just because there's a tendency. Now, so for me, that means, okay, I got to pay attention more so than anyone else. So that means I might want to start testing my PSA, maybe 35, 40. Again, these are all individual decisions. And I think what we advocate more than anything is have enough information so you can have an informed decision and discussion with your doctor, right? But you need to be an advocate for your own health a little bit. So there's not a magic number, because there's some men diagnosed really young in their 30s with prostate cancer, I've heard about. Very uncommon.
Don't do that stuff.
That's very uncommon.
36,
yeah.
bro. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
John, what family-wise, do we have anything to look out for? Do we know anybody that's prostate?
Prostate? I don't think so.
No. Okay. All right, good. Let's check that one off.
That
We just had a
But then there's even different. So like black men, they tend to have that, and it's more frequent than 1 in 7, and it tends to be more aggressive in black men. So that sort of information is extremely important to get out, just based on who the individual is. So it's not just 1 in 7.
Is there anything that triggers it? I mean, eating something, or is it just hereditary, or is it just something that just pops up in someone's body?
Yeah, I don't know that there's one. I don't think we can say there's one cause. I'm sure there's a number of things that contribute. Just to
Oscar wants to know how he can cut it off at the
end
and not have to deal with it. How do I not get this?
Yeah. Well, it's like was it type 2 diabetes, right? A lot of that's self-inflicted. It's what you're eating, and that rolls into that in itself. So I was just curious to know if it's something that people are doing or not doing, or eating or not eating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not aware of anything specific to prostate cancer more than just things that are tied to cancer in general, in the body. There's just, I think it seems like every year there's always one thing we should stay away from more, and then one thing we should have more of. Like right now, it's the wars on bacon, right? We can't have bacon anymore.
She looked at you like you were crazy. What? Can't have bacon. Who are you talking to?
Well, I didn't say listen. That just said you shouldn't have bacon. Yeah. So there's there's not one thing, and that's why it's just more about having the awareness, because there's even confusion about prostate cancer. I've had people come up to at a beer festival, we're talking about, we're raising awareness, and they're like, "Oh yeah, prostate cancer. My dad had colon cancer." And I'm like, okay, well, that's different. So now I'm going to have a conversation with you to educate you about what prostate cancer is. Right. I've had women claim that their mom had prostate cancer, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure about that one. I'm not a doctor, but I can pretty much nail you on that. That did not happen.
Good place to start. We'll get back from the break. We'll touch on this more. I want to give out your website before we go to the break, so if someone wanted to donate to the cause.
Yeah, they can just go to Movember.com if they want to take care and support this Mo, bro. Just search Chad Little. You'll find me. Give me some money.
Right on. When we get back, we'll be discussing Movember some more. You've been listening to the Core Hour Live on ESPN 1700.